It looks increasingly likely that Donald Trump will soon become the first former president to ever face criminal charges. And yet, he isn't losing any support on the right, because no matter how toxic he becomes or how bad that relationship gets, the Republican Party just can't quit Trump. The relationship is symbiotic at this point. And if you're still waiting for that moment when everyone snaps out of that yellow haze, it's not happening. It's just listen to the Republican Speaker of the House, still making all sorts of excuses for Trump.
We live in America and it should be equal justice. This was personal money. This wasn't trying to hide. This was 7 years ago, statute of limitation. And I think in your heart of hearts, you know, too, that you think this is just political. And I think that's what the rest of the country thinks, and we're kind of tired of that.
They will always find a way to justify their support for Donald Trump. So, knowing that nothing will ever break them up, how should we begin to look at that relationship between the right and their leader? Brendan Buck served as senior advisor to Speaker John Boehner and Speaker Paul Ryan, and he also advised Ryan as a vice presidential candidate in 2012. He joins me now. Brendan, welcome so much. It's good to have you back in the chair. So here's the deal. What kind of delusion are we seeing play out here? Because the reality of it is we see and hear one thing, and yet the GOP apparently just blows right past that and goes, nope, that's still the guy. What do we need to understand about that symbiotic relationship at this point?
Well, some of it is that they're not seeing the same thing. They, as you know, they live in a sort of a media ecosystem where a lot of this stuff isn't talked about. And when it is talked about, it is framed in the way that people are coming after Donald Trump again. And Donald Trump has spent years and years conditioning people that the only reason they're coming after him is because he was fighting for them. And they hear that and they see it, they believe it. And as you know, the biggest currency in the Republican Party these days is who's against you. Who are your enemies?
Yeah.
And when Donald Trump is able to say, look at this, liberal Manhattan DA is coming after me, George Soros backed, you know, all that language, all it does is show people, okay, they're clearly they're coming after him again because he's on the right side of things, and so they're ready to fight for him. Look, elected officials are not going to be where the tide turns. They are responding to voters. Right. Republican voters still like Donald Trump. He's still winning very easily in the Republican primary at this point, if you look at polling. And until that changes, Republicans are going to go to the safe place, and the safe place is to stick with Donald Trump just as it's been for 6 years.
Which raises the next question. DeSantis,
yeah,
the savior, the one that at least the money class are turning to in significant ways. How does that play out? I mean, DeSantis kind of did a little pity-pat slapback, making a sort of reference to...
And got some blowback for it.
It got some blowback for it. So what does that tell us?
Yeah, look, I mean, this is an obvious opportunity. Like, if you're running for president, obviously Ron DeSantis hasn't gotten in yet, but if you're running for president, you have to take out Donald Trump. I mean, that's the whole idea, right?
Right.
If you're running, you think Donald Trump should be president. Here's an obvious opportunity to do that. Now, I understand if you're a congressional Republican and you don't want to take that bait, you're going to talk about the DA and you're going to talk about the process because you don't want to talk about the substance. What does that sound like? It sounds a little bit like what Ron DeSantis said. He talked about how this is a person who cheated on his wife when she was pregnant with an adult film star and paid hush money. Like, that's absurd on its face to talk about, but you have to be willing to say that. The problem is, again, when you do that, you give aid and comfort to Democrats. And that is, at least in the eyes of Republicans, and that is a mortal sin in the Republican Party right now, supporting Democrats. If you go after Donald Trump, you are only helping Democrats, and you can't do that. And it creates this quicksand where you end up being stuck because you can't attack him, so you end up defending him, you end up pointing out that people don't like him, which again is currency for him, and all of a sudden all you're doing is rehabbing him. I don't know how you beat him by doing that.
I agree with that, and that's why I referenced the donors before, because they seem to think that, okay, we'll just push this cash behind this guy, and that'll be enough. And the reality of it is, yeah, that's just you spending your money. That's not votes. And you make, I think, the point that everyone should really appreciate is that within the party, and it's not just the base. I mean, because you've got these other, senators and congressmen who have a base of support that is not as Trumpy as you may see in other parts of the country, yet they're not jumping out in front either. So what does that say for the donors and those who are trying to sort of prop up the DeSantis vehicle to sort of drive through the Trump line to break it up? I just don't see it happening myself.
Well, you do need an alternative. And so, I think it's right to push somebody forward if that's your goal. But the reality is Donald Trump is not going to just go away. And I think we know that by now. I think we've seen this again. Events are not just going to take care of Donald Trump for us. Now, there may be a situation where, obviously, I don't think this one indictment is going to do him in. We may get to a situation where there is such an accumulation of issues that potentially people see that he's too unelectable. I don't know that you can put a lot of stock in how much voters think about someone's electable, but maybe you get to that point. But you have to put somebody up. Point is, you have to go through them, though, as you said. You have to take them on directly. Putting up Ron DeSantis with lots of money is fine, but if you're not willing to throw the punch, you know he's going to punch you. He's been punching Ron DeSantis now. You have to punch back if you're going to take him out.
So one last little bit here on that point. I guess the question then becomes if, building a wall and, going after people of color and grabbing women by the private parts wasn't enough. I don't know if one more indictment is going to tip the scale with this base. But what does it say longer term, including everything that we know, and if other indictments come for the party longer term, getting into 28 and beyond? What does it look like for them?
Yeah, I mean, the big question is whether Donald Trump actually exits the stage after this point. But I think the reality is he has so changed the party for such a long time. Obviously, we are not going to be defined by him forever, but we may be a populist party for a really long time because of what he did. And a populist party is all about fighting culture wars and engaging in a lot of that nationalist stuff that you talked about that is really dangerous. So I don't think that we should have any expectation that even if Donald Trump doesn't win the nomination, even if Donald Trump goes away after this cycle, that the party is going to snap back anytime soon.
Yeah.